A pleasant evening and welcome to this week's first edition of Primetime News. I'm Michael Madimba. If it's your first time tuning in, please hit the subscribe button. And if it's not your first time with us, it's always a pleasure to have you back. Also feel free to add your comments in the comment section. With that said and done, we'll begin with Youth Matters. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, has urged Namibia to invest more in life skills to accelerate the country's efforts towards addressing issues of sexual and reproductive health for young people.
Education for Health and Wellbeing Officer Aina Kantoya, during a 3-day capacity building workshop for members of parliament on sexual and reproductive health and rights and life skills-based HIV and health education, said there is a lot of misinformation and misconception regarding comprehensive sexuality education in the communities that needs to be addressed. Kantoya, at the workshop held at Swakopmund this past weekend, noted that it is important that Parliament approves and endorses funds for life skills education and sexual and reproductive health and rights for young people. Namibia, she said, is among 20 countries that have committed to Eastern and Southern Africa, which among others recognizes the responsibility of the state in implementing effective strategies to educate and protect all children, adolescents and young people, including those living with disabilities, from early to unintended pregnancies, unsafe abortion, sexually transmitted infections, including HIV, risk of substance misuse, and to combat all forms of discrimination and rights violation, including child marriage. However, early and unintended pregnancies, sexual and gender-based violence remains high, while there is a low comprehensive knowledge on HIV and AIDS among young people. Data presented at the workshop reflects that between March and December 2020, 3,235 learners got pregnant.
Executive Director in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security, Etienne Maritz, has warned members of the public to be wary and not to respond to a widely circulating SMS notification message telling people to collect their passports.
Maritz, in a media statement issued on Saturday, said that the notification message sent by the number 44433 advising members of the public to collect their passports at the ministry's offices is fake and that people should not respond to it as it may be intended for scam activities. He said that even though the ministry is in the process of introducing the SMS notification that will be utilized by the public, has not yet been implemented. The ED further noted that currently the ministry is at the final stage to come up with the SMS notification for the passport services. Maritz stressed that once finalized, the ministry will inform the public about the passport notification number.
Moving on to news from the continent. A United Nations investigation today revealed that war crimes and crimes against humanity, including the use of child soldiers, have been committed in Libya since 2016. AFP gives us more. The independent fact-finding mission on Libya commissioned by the UN Human Rights Council said migrants and detainees were particularly exposed to violations. Landmines have killed or maimed many people. Europe-bound migrants face abuse in detention centers and at the hands of traffickers. Detainees languishing in horrific conditions in prison are tortured, while prominent women have been killed or have disappeared. The mission's report said. The mission said in a statement that there are reasonable grounds to believe that war crimes have been committed in Libya, while violence perpetrated in prisons and against migrants may amount to crimes against humanity. Still on the continent, according to state media and an AFP correspondent, clashes erupted today in the Sudanese capital between security forces and alleged militants, a week after 5 officers were killed in the same area. The shootout in the Jabra district of southern Khartoum prompted security forces to seal off streets, the correspondent at the scene said. It was not immediately clear if there were any casualties, but ambulances were seen rushing to the site. State media, including Sudan TV, said an armed clash with a terrorist cell broke out in Jabra. On September 28, Sudan's intelligence services said 5 counter-terrorism officers were killed during a raid in Jabra, targeting a cell linked to the Islamic State group. It said 11 militants from different foreign countries were arrested, while 4 others escaped. The following day, a little non-jihadist group claimed responsibility for killing the intelligence officers. The latest clashes came with Sudan in the midst of a rocky transition, following the April 2019 ouster of Islamist President Omar al-Bashir. Khartoum faces a mountain of challenges as it seeks to bolster a transition to civilian rule, with fragmentation among political factions as well as dire economic wars. On September 21, the government said it thwarted a coup attempt. Stand by for your top roundup. In the business and economic segment tonight, we begin with aviation news. Deutsche Lufthansa AG today announced 130 additional flights to sunny destinations for the upcoming autumn holidays, citing increase in demand. DPA gives us more. The additional flights to leisure destinations are from Frankfurt and Munich. After August, October shows the highest increase in bookings to sunny European destinations. Under the expanded flight program, there'll be more than 80 additional flights from Frankfurt Rhein-Main Airport and over 50 additional flights from Munich to the most important European vacation destinations. Lufthansa is also offering additional flights to popular destinations in Portugal, Italy, and Greece during the fall vacation time period. The company has asked air travelers to always observe the relevant and current entry and quarantine regulations. The airline had already expanded its services for October by 45% on certain routes over the last few weeks compared to July. Starting in October, there will be up to 11 daily connections from Frankfurt to Berlin instead of 9 daily connections. Shifting our attention to the petroleum sector, where OPEC and its key allies were scheduled to meet today to decide whether to ramp up oil production in a bid to calm overheated global energy prices. More on this report by AFP. The market landscape has changed little since the previous September 1st meeting of the oil exporters cartel and its allies together known as OPEC+, with demand continuing to weigh on global crude supply. Oil prices jumped above $80 last week for the first time in almost 3 years, and in the club led by Saudi Arabia and Russia, both a boost and a dilemma. While higher prices benefit producers in the form of increased exports and revenues, there are medium-term drawbacks if rising prices stifle the fragile post-pandemic economic recovery. The trend could also encourage new competitors into the market, making the exploration of new fields more profitable or even encouraging the trend towards renewables. OPEC has been sticking to an increase in production of 400,000 barrels per day, agreed in July, but could nonetheless be tempted to open the taps further. In a study published last week, Morgan Stanley analysts noted the possibility of demand destruction if oil prices creep over $80 a barrel. Iraq's oil minister has told the country's state news agency the group is working towards keeping prices around $70. However, in the current market, Goldman Sachs sees Brent crude oil soaring towards $90 within months. To calm overheating prices, OPEC Plus countries could opt to increase supply volumes, but there are questions over their willingness, not to mention ability to do this. That's all from me, Michael Madimba. Your sports news will follow after the economics roundup and the weather forecast.
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sport on Sport Planet. I'm Salima Shimwe-Feleni. We kick off tonight's sports segment with some COSAFA news. Namibia's senior women's football team, the Brave Gladiators, will have a chance to redeem themselves when they face Eswatini on Tuesday. This follows their 3-0 defeat to Zambia on Sunday. Marco Ndlovu, our sports journalist, compiled this report.
Namibia, who sit third on the log table after playing to a 0-0 draw against Uganda and a 3-0 defeat to Zambia, will have to win their next match against Eswatini on Tuesday if they are to progress to the next stage. Eswatini, who lost both their matches to Zambia and Uganda, will look to bounce back with an improved performance against the Namibians. Speaking at the end of their match on Sunday, Uri Jacobs said the first half was a good one for Zambia, and that his Chargers should be commended for defending well against their more experienced opponents. He reiterated his sentiments that the tournament is a good platform for his team to acquire match fitness, which they need for the African Women's Cup of Nations qualifiers against Tanzania later this month. Zambia sit at the summit of the table with 6 points from 2 matches played, followed by Uganda with 4 points. Namibia has 1, whilst Eswatini sits at the base of the table with no points.
Moving on to netball news. Namibia Correctional Services were crowned champions of the inaugural 2021 MTC Namibia Netball Premier League following a nail-biting 30-all draw with Tigers in Windhoek on Saturday evening.
The Namibia Correctional Services needed to avoid defeat to win the title, and they did just that in a pulsating match witnessed by a huge crowd. Tigers also needed to win the match in order for them to be crowned champions with 21 points. The Namibia Correctional Services took a first quarter lead before Tigers came back to lead at halftime. The third quarter saw the Namibia Correctional Services crawl their way back and reduce the deficit in favor of Tigers before the fourth quarter saw both teams being tied at 30 points each. With the victory, the Namibia Correctional Services finished the season with 20 points, the same number as Gunners, while Tigers finished third with 19 points. The Namibia Correctional Services was therefore declared champions due to their superior goal differences of plus 297 goals compared to plus 275 of Gunners.
Your sports roundup is up next. And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's bulletin. Many thanks for tuning in. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe, like, share, and click on the notifications bell to stay up to date with the latest happenings locally and globally. Do add your comments as well in the comment section. Catch us tomorrow for another edition of Primetime News. From myself, Salima Shimwe-Feleni, and the entire production crew, it's good night.